Okay, so now we're going to get into energy and atmosphere and start with probably what is the most important prerequisite in the entire LEED rating system, which is commissioning. And commissioning is basically where the third-party validation comes in. Commissioners will work very hard to understand the intent of the project, in other words, understand the design goals and the efficiency goals, and begin to look at the project after it's built to make sure that it is actually performing at the level it is. And I can tell you lots of stories where commissioners have come in, they've looked at the building and how it's performing, and it doesn't meet the standards as they were designed to meet. And therefore, we get to go and do forensic sustainability and find out why the systems aren't performing, making sure those systems are performing. And the commissioners will look at scope, they have the authority, and they will look at the current facilities requirements and operations maintenance plan to make sure that the project is in fact functioning properly. Minimum energy performance, again, this is required. The idea here, basically meet code in this country. We have lots of people who sneak around and build buildings that don't meet code. And sustainable design now starts to become more important. There's lots of ways to meet minimum energy performance, and some of those have to do with using simulation early to do that. Some of the requirements are a whole building energy simulation delivery. So using something like eQuest or IES or Energy 10 or other kinds of building energy simulators is really critical to this, and also not just meeting the prereq, but for also getting points. Some people would like to not use simulation, and their LEED does provide other methodologies for doing that. I would suggest you definitely look at the reference manual for more understanding on this, as I did this very quickly. Building level energy metering. This is new again, and the idea of building owners being aware of the amount of energy that they're using, and this is really critical. We're seeing more and more that Energy Star portfolio in this country is now being required by major cities, so that if you have a building over 50,000 square feet, for example, in Philadelphia, you have to report your energy use on a yearly basis. So this is really the state of the art, and this is the trend, and LEED has helped to push and create that trend to its credit. And so we want to install these energy meters. It's pretty straightforward, actually. And also we want to commit to sharing that information with USGBC. Another requirement, of course, is we'd like to try to reduce ozone depletion. And we know that our air conditioners have all kinds of things, or have had all kinds of chemicals in them that have led to, in part, the destruction of the ozone. So what LEED is doing here and requiring here is that you meet very specific standards, which I will not cover here because they're complex, but I would recommend that you go to the reference guide if you need to look at that. Enhanced commissioning, 6 points. And again, if your project's going to need 80, here's an opportunity to really gather in a lot of points. So rather than just doing basic commissioning, really involving this commissioner or this oversight person throughout the process to make sure that your project is going to meet the goals that it is achieving. And that takes a deep commitment from the owner, and especially from the builder, who may or may not enjoy having that kind of oversight. And the requirements are really a bit complex there also, or probably not worth explaining here. So I would go back and look at your reference guide to try to find those out. Now we jump to 18 points. So again, if you're thinking about getting LEED Platinum at 80, here is where you get the multiple points that you need. And the idea here is to go beyond the basics. We already have a prerequisite for meeting basic code or meeting minimum energy performance levels. Now we can get up to 18 points for doing that, which is pretty exciting. And so this is just more than just about mechanical equipment. The building envelope and the quality of construction has a lot to do with the overall energy performance of a building. And as a strategy, of course, we need to be thinking about all of those. I'll be covering this in greater detail later in the course. And so we have to do a whole building simulation here, or we use a prescriptive path. And getting about 50%, I hope I have this right, 50% energy performance above minimum performance standards will get you the 18 points that you need in a new building project. Which is, I don't know, is that hard? Maybe. Advanced energy metering, and the intent here is to go beyond and have even more detailed analysis. And really what this is about sub-metering, or metering subsystems within your overall system. And so what that'll do is give us better input and better knowledge and better feedback about how the building is performing or not performing. And when an energy system starts to fail, or when you see a spike in energy use in a subsystem, then you can send your people out right away to fix that. So this is a way of running ongoing diagnostics for sustainability. It's pretty exciting. Now, demand response is really critical because I don't know about other countries, but in the US, when we hit what's called peak heating load or peak cooling load in the middle of summer, we get charged a lot of extra money, and the system is really under great stress. And so what we want to do is use energy management systems to, on demand, reduce the amount of energy being used at any given point in a building or a campus. So I can tell you at Philly U, we've had times where the air conditioning has been shut down for an hour or so to allow the overall energy grid in the city of Philadelphia, the PJ grid, to perform better. And we do get a financial remuneration for that. So there's lots of, and I think that's actually supposed to be 3 points. So renewable energy production, sorry for that error. Here what we want to do is get on-site renewable solar panels, etc., to begin not only to save energy, but to generate energy on-site. And so LEED is going to reward you with some points for doing that. Enhanced refrigerant management is to more carefully look at the chemicals that you're using in your air conditioning system to begin to understand how they, oh, that's a typo there, I apologize for that. And option 1, no refrigerants or low impact refrigerants. Option 2, calculation of refrigerant impact. And so what we want to try to do is further help the ozone. Green power and carbon offsets. So if you can't get all of the renewable energy credits that you'd like to get on site, you can begin to buy and purchase green power or purchase carbon offsets. And what this does is, in the net overall impact of the overall energy impact of your project, you can begin to make a positive impact in society. And so that allows, that forces the generation of a contract between a client or an organization and an energy provider for that, which is a pretty powerful way to generate impact. So that's the end of this video. Again, I'm trying to go through these as quickly and painlessly as possible. I recommend that you go into the LEED reference guide that is available out there in the world, but I also recommend that you stay tuned for future courses or weeks in this course where we're going to delve into some of these strategies into more detail, which I'll look forward to doing. Thanks.